Welcome back to the TwinSpires Jury. I'm Ashley Anderson here with James, Scully, and Darin Zoccali to talk our best bets and fades of the week at Fairgrounds for Risen Star Day, and we'll look at Turfway and Gulfstream Park as well. As you can see, I don't have my TwinSpires backdrop with me today because I'm in New Orleans to go to Fairgrounds for the Risen Star, and I was there this morning, back at the hotel right now, so sorry if it's a little noisy. I'm taking over the restaurant right now. And I'm a little tired too, because I've been up since 5 a.m. So hopefully I make sense today. But I'm going to turn it over to James first. And James, tell me what your best bet of the week is.
My best bet of the week is number one, Ethan Energy in the third race at Fairgrounds on Saturday. Ethan Energy is a colt that stretching out the two turns in December in his second start. He broke his maiden real impressively at the Fairgrounds, and he didn't get out of the gate well in his debut. He broke better the second time out, won very sharply going away. He came back from the comp, and he's in a position like a lot of last out maiden winners are, where they just don't have a big margin for error, stepping up to face stakes rivals the first time. And I thought he basically, lost his best chance when breaking poorly from the starting gate. He still ran, I thought, a pretty solid fourth place effort in that race. And I look forward to move forward significantly in this race on Saturday for Brad Cox. The thing that I like about the setup for Ethan Energy as well in race 3 is that he's got Nash in the race, who to me is like a one-turn type who has to go to the lead. You got Count Dracula and Tuscan Sky as well. So I could see the pace battle being contested early and throughout it, and really Ethan Energy getting a perfect setup that enables him to come rolling past those horses in the stretch and win the third race at Fairgrounds on Saturday. Darin, who's your best bet?
Yeah, I'm going to head over to Turfway Park. They've got a really nice card Saturday night. It includes a stakes race, but the race prior to the stake that kicks off the late pick 4 is 1.25 miles, non-winners of 2 other than optional claiming allowance. And I like number 4, Barberini, who's given a 6-to-1 chance on the morning line. This horse is making his third start back off the layoff, and he had a really nice campaign back in 2022 where he won 4 of 5 starts and then ran third behind Value Engineering over the synthetic at Gulfstream in the Allen Jerkins. Then they bumped him up to grade 3 and grade 2 competition, including the Mac Diamarta, where things just did not go the way that the connections had hoped. He went to the sidelines coming out of that grade 2 event and disappeared for about 8 months from the races. So obviously something went amiss there. He came back behind a Credit and Hush of a Storm in a really good allowance race where he did not run poorly. Then the second time out, he ran into a really good race, including the runner-up from that particular race, coming back to win a stake event. And that horse is actually going to be going postward, I believe, right behind him in the Dust Commander and Surly Furious in race number 7. He's actually the 5-to-2 choice in that field. So Barberini's coming out of a couple of really key races. He's in for the claiming price. He's going from non-winners of 3 other than to non-winners of 2 other than, while entered for the $40,000 tag. And I think going this 10 furlong distance is going to hit him right between the eyes, because he's proven at 1 1/8 miles. He's proven at 1 5/8 miles. I think stretching him out is going to do him a lot of good. And there's a lot of speed from the inside as well that I think is going to set things up nicely for his late rally. So we're going to take a flyer on Barberini, James, at 6-to-1 in the 6th at Turfway Park.
I like it. Ashley, what do you got for us?
Well, I'm taking it to the big race on Saturday, the Risen Star. And it's a pretty deep field, maybe the deepest field we've seen so far in a Kentucky Derby prep. It's worth 50 points to the winner. And I'm going to go number 4, Sierra Leone, at 4-to-1 on the morning line. This is a Chad Brown runner making his 3rd career start. He had a 98 brisnet speed figure last out when he was beaten just a nose by Dornoch in the Rimson. It was on a sloppy track. I think we might get similar race conditions here at Fairgrounds on Saturday as well. And, he got the lead in the stretch and then lost it. Dornoch rallied and got up just in time at the wire. But Chad Brown is adding blinkers. It's a 22% winning move for Chad Brown when he does that. And Sierra Leone got a 121 class rating, the highest, the best of anyone in this field. So I'm going to take a shot here. Not too much of a shot. He might get bet down, actually. But I'm going Sierra Leone. He's a $2.3 million purchase, and I think it's his time to shine now. And I'll stick with you, James, for our fade, because I know you have a lot to say about this. So tell me about it.
Yeah, my fade is Sierra Leone. I've got I understand completely what Ashley's saying, and believe me, I'm not saying that he isn't a promising colt moving forward, but This is a horse who is a deep closer that raced twice last year. He's coming back from a near 3-month layoff, and he's going up against some horses that not only have stakes experience but have a recency edge. And I wasn't as keen on the Remsen as everybody else. I mean, that was a track that was favoring speed. He was Dornick was, I mean, Sierra Leone was being asked for some speed, and he just couldn't keep up. I mean, he's dead last going down the back stretch. He's under a ride going in a turn. He launches this huge move, and then suddenly in deep stretch, he's totally out of gas and like short in stride. And that's just not a professional effort. I mean, he is anything but a seasoned professional at this point in his career. And even with the addition of blinkers, I think Sierra Leone's going to be looking to go last to first on Saturday. Good luck to him if he does it. Then he is that really enhances his value in my mind. But I'm gonna look for more down the road from Sierra Leone, and I'm gonna fade him in the Risen Star, Darin. And
He's got a
Ashley,
lot of closers. He's got a lot of closers to compete with, but I will say from being at Fairgrounds this morning, Blaze, our producer, can attest to this. He said that he saw Sierra Leone come through and he was on the muscle. As you said it, Blaze said he was on the muscle, just like you always are, James.
I know. Well, listen, I know he looks great. I mean, he's the best looking horse on the track. I believe every single morning he steps on it. And that's why I think that 4-1 is a complete dream. I expect Sierra Leone to be favored. I expect him to be a solid favorite. He was the second choice in pool 3 of the Kentucky Derby future wager, 2 pegs, 2 points lower in the betting than locked. And I look for him to be a big favorite on Saturday. And the one thing about the Risen Star, guys, is that the winner of this race, in my mind, is going to be the clear favorite in Pool 4 of the Kentucky Derby future wager this weekend. So it'll be interesting to see how the betting goes, because like Ashley said, it's an extremely deep field, I think, with 5 potentially quality 3-year-olds in it.
Yeah, I look at it from a standpoint of value, guys. I think he's going to be closer to 2-1 than 4-1. And I cannot get the image of him hanging like a chandelier in the stretch out of my head in the Remsen. And granted, there's some personal bias there because him getting beat that day cost me quite a bit of money in the pick 5 at Aqueduct. But that being said, he's supposed to look good. I mean, he cost $2.3 million for a reason. So he's going to be a physically imposing specimen. He obviously has a lot of ability. He beat a nice horse in change of command. Drum roll, please, did come out of the Remsen to win next time out. But like I said, he had every reason to win that race. Everything his own way. The race completely fell apart. They came home in 39 seconds. Dornock should not have been able to come back and catch him at the wire, and he did. Maybe the blinkers changed that, but if I'm betting this race, and obviously I am, I'm going to take the value between horses like Honor Marie or Hall of Fame or somebody like that kind of escapes on the tote board, as opposed to Sierra Leone, who I think is going to be half the morning line. So for me, I'm not saying he can't win. Wouldn't shock me if he did. Just a matter of value. The one cool thing about this race, the last thing I'll say, guys, I think the last 5 years, a horse that's coming out of that has come out of the Risen Star has finished first, second, or third in the Kentucky Derby. So put a circle around this race because it has major, major Derby implications based on the recent past.
All right. Well, we've talked a lot about the Risen Star. I think we might talk a little bit more in our next segment as well, or the one after this. But Darin, let's stick with the fades. So who are you fading at a short price this week?
Yeah, the race that starts the All Stakes Pick 5 that day in race number 10 is the Al Stall Memorial for the fillies and mares going a mile and a 16th. I'm going to fade number 5 Spirit and Glory here off the layoff for Robert Falcone. The bottom line is I just don't necessarily think this filly is that good. I'm always a little bit dubious of horses coming in from Southern California. The horse was well beaten in the Eatontown, which is a local race here in the New York, New Jersey area at Monmouth that has decent horses in it. Consumer Spending is a nice horse, but was beaten 3.5 lengths that day. You take a look back through her history. She has never been an over-the-top sensational mare on the turf. And I certainly admit that it's not like this race on paper is anything that is completely overwhelming. But you got some horses in here that have some speed, some horses that are newly developing. And I just would rather take one of these other horses that are kind of stepping forward now more into the spotlight than a horse like Spirit and Glory, who's kind of shown that if everything goes her way, she can win a race. But off the layoff with only one start since June, the workouts are certainly less than inspiring. I think that she's a dead set play against to kick off this late pick 5 at anything that resembles a short price, James.
I agree. I mean, it's coming back from a 200-day layoff, and you referenced it. I mean, that Eatontown effort was just okay. She was running in the Endeavor last year at this time at Tampa Bay Downs and running like up the track at like double-digit odds. So I give her credit for coming on last year in that yellow ribbon. That was a good second that day, but she's got, I mean, no way I want any part of like a short price on her coming back in this spot against a pretty well-matched group of fillies and mares.
All right. Should I move on to my fade, or is there anything else you want to say about Sierra Leone?
No. Go for
All
it.
right. Well, I'll take it to the Rachel Alexandra for the fillies, the Kentucky Oaks prep, and I'm going to fade number 6, Vivi's Dream at 5-2. This is race 13. It's a Matoli filly who has failed as the favorite in her last 2, including the Rags to Riches at Churchill last out, where she flattened to finish 3rd by 9.5 lengths to West Sunset, who's got a stablemate in this race as well. And she'll likely get, similar conditions to that race in the Rags to Riches. And she's coming off a more than 3-month layoff for Kenny McPeak. Her last win was 3 starts back at a mile in the Pocahontas, and she struggled since stretching out farther. So I'm fading her. I like Alpine Princess for Brad Cox, especially because Florent Giroux's in the saddle, and Brad Cox and Florent Giroux have won this race twice paired up together. So I think there's some better fillies in this field. I'm going to fade Vivi's Dream in this spot.
James, I was kind of interested in this. I'm curious for your take. When I looked at this race, Vivi's Dream is the morning line favorite, and horses that are longer than her are Intricate, Alpine Princess, and West Omaha. Wouldn't
Right.
surprise me if all 3 of them go off lower than Vivi's Dream.
Yeah, I know. It's like, I mean, Vivi's Dream is like a little bit to me like Sierra Leone among the fillies. I mean, she's got this big reputation, but to me, she really has something to prove stepping up against a pretty deep group. I agree. I like Alpine Princess too. I think Intricate might be the slight favorite because that was an awfully impressive performance in that Goldenrod, and I certainly respect her chances. But I give the edge to Alpine Princess off that untappable, and I just think it's a dynamite back-to-back races on Saturday with the Rachel Alexandra and the Risen Star. Both races look top-heavy.
And Darin, I think we might have some promos for Risen Star Day.
Of course we do. For our friends down at the fairgrounds, they're actually going to be the featured track on a brand new promotion that kicks off this week. It is the Road to the Kentucky Derby Profit Boost. So basically, every weekend from now through the end of the Kentucky Derby prep season, obviously, there will be a Kentucky Derby prep race somewhere. We will feature that racetrack that we select for that particular day. All of the races on the card will be eligible for the Profit Boost, up to a $25 cap for each day that it's offered. So again, this coming Saturday, it is going to be all of the races at the fairgrounds. And as we move through the prep season, depending on where the prep races go, we will update that each and every week, and we will list which track is going to be featured. But of course, with the Risen Star Stakes this week, we will be focusing on the fairgrounds. And on top of that, we also have a Hit It and Split It Saturdays at the fairgrounds for the late pick 5, $2,000. Be sure to be opted into that. And of course, Friday night as well, a $2,500 late pick 5, Hit It and Split It for our friends over at Turfway Park. So a couple of Hit It and Splits. We've got the 15% profit boost. And I'll even mention, don't forget, with the Kentucky Derby Future Wager coming back this weekend, we have the Kentucky Derby Week Bankroll Builder, which has a series of bet gets. The more you bet in these future wagers, the more you're going to get added to your account Kentucky Derby Week. So be sure to pick out who you like early on in this Derby season, make a future wager bet, and then get involved there. So a lot of Derby, Churchill Downs related stuff going on this weekend, guys.
Yeah, we got a lot going on.
I like that Hit It and Split It on Saturday. I'm putting in some work on that big Bob.
There you go.
Well, James, don't take all the money from everybody. All right, James, tell me what else you're going to be watching for this weekend, maybe at the Risen Star.
Well, I liked how Track Phantom won on a fast pace in the LeCompte. He was a little bit fortunate. I think there weren't any like quality closers in there because he was a little bit tired late. But I thought he came back with a stronger effort in the Risen Star. The number dropped a little bit because the pace was much more moderate. But once again, I just seen the progression from this colt. Broke his maiden, wins the Gun Runner, wins the LeCompte, going into the Risen Star. I've seen these colts. Darin referenced like the impact the Risen Stars had in recent years, and I'll just reference 3 runners right off the bat in the last 7 years. Gun Runner, War of Will, and Epicenter. All three of them got stronger in every single event, and nobody has made a case to me why Trek Phantom is not going to improve upon that effort in that LeComp last month. I think that the one thing about these horses that I've referenced them earlier, especially Epicenter, he wasn't earning big numbers in his first couple of stakes races in the low 90s, and so's Track Phantom. And I expect those numbers, just like they did for Epicenter and other good horses, to increase significantly as he moves forward. I like the fact that he's one of the most experienced members of the field. I like the fact that he has good tactical speed, and I like the fact that he loves fairgrounds. So with Sierra Leone, to me, being going to be the post-on favorite, I wouldn't be surprised if Hall of Fame is the second choice. I'm looking at a potential to get a better price than the morning line favorite is at Track Phantom. I don't think that will happen. I think I can get maybe $8-9 and maybe even 10. And I'm going to bet Track Phantom to win in the Risen Star Stakes, Darin.
Yeah, don't blame you. I mean, he didn't go off favorite again last time, which kind of surprised me. So he seems like, despite the fact that he keeps winning, he still somehow flies under the radar. Now, that might end if he dominates in the Risen Star, but for some reason, the betting public seems to always shy away from him a little bit, and I think you're going to get value because I do think the money's going to come in on Sierra Leone, unfortunately, for Ashley.
You know, it is interesting too, because Hall of Fame won by more than 10 lengths, had Joel Rosario. We talked about this before. Joel Rosario sticking with Track Phantom. So it seems like there's something there. Steve Asmussen feels confident with Track Phantom. Y'all don't think that the public's going to favor Track Phantom for that reason?
They might. I mean, they do go to Asmussen a lot. I mean, I certainly understand that. But I can't get the fact that he wasn't favored over Nash last time after he beat him soundly 2 back.
Yeah.
Like if he's not going to be favored in that race, what race is he going to be favored in? And he might be. Maybe he goes off 5-2, and I'm a little bit caught off guard by it. But I just think that people have like this big circle around Sierra Leone that for some reason they've all been waiting to bet him back off that effort that I think is kind of inflated. And he goes out for Monster Connections, and he costs over $2 million, and so on and so forth. So
and it's the same thing. In Hall of Fame is a little bit of the same thing where he's got the connections. He costs over $1 million. He's a big, strapping, great-looking colt. You look at Catching Freedom in this race, and none of us have mentioned him. But he's been favored in all three starts at short odds. Comes off a win in that Smarty Jones. That race produced Mystic Dan, who won the Southwest a couple weeks ago. It's hard to gauge how he'll get bet. It's hard to bet for me to gauge a little bit how like a horse like Resilience will get bet, because that horse is coming off a pretty nice maiden win at Gulfstream. So it's definitely going to be a situation. Watch the tote board. I don't think any of us can exactly predict it accurately, but I do think Track Phantom will be overlooked a little bit.
All right, Darin, what else are you going to be watching for this weekend?
Yeah, I'm going to head over to South Florida. There's a race at Gulfstream Park that caught my eye. The 10th race, which is a second level allowance event, has a couple of horses that are coming off of old Kentucky Derby trails. And we'll start with one from last year, a name that a lot of people are going to remember, Instant Coffee, the winner of the 2023 LeComp Stakes, who was the favorite in the Louisiana Derby, is making his return to the races off about an 11-month layoff. This horse was sent down to Florida after having some bone bruising coming out of the Louisiana Derby and a workout as they were thinking about getting this horse ready for the Preakness. Al Gold, who is the owner of Gold Square, sent the horse to Brittany Russell. He said he likes to have the horses down in Florida because he's there about 8 months out of the year, gets to watch them train. So this horse, good to have him back on the comeback trail and add him to the older division. And he's going to be racing against, among others, Barber Road, who was a horse that was on the Kentucky Derby Trail a couple of years ago for John Ortiz and actually ran third in the Rebel, ran second in the Arkansas Derby. Did not run badly at all in the Kentucky Derby, beaten less than 5 lengths, but he did get a win at Keeneland last spring. But he has not been seen since making the lead in the Blame Stakes and tiring last year. So he's been off for about 7 months as well as he tries to make his comeback at age 5. But it's an interesting race. Neither of those horses have to win. Lure Him In, who won at this level 3 back and won the Sunshine Classic last time out, is in this race. There's a couple of other horses like Classic Car Wash, who actually ran in the Bluegrass last year and was second in the Tampa Bay Derby, and a couple other now horses that have been developing as well. So the 10th race at Gulfstream caught my eyes. It's got a little bit of star power to it, James.
It really does. And I think it is exciting to see instant coffee, but I think it's awfully tough to take a price. I mean, you're basing it off of like these juvenile races against restricted company. He ran one race early in his 3-year-old season before he went off form in Louisiana Derby. And it's asking a whole lot, Darin, to run against older horses and, bet them at a short odds based on juvenile form.
All right, well, before we close things out, I was going to mention one other Kentucky Derby prep race on Sunday. It's the Sunland Park Derby, a grade 3 event. And one interesting note, we talked about Steve Asmussen, Joel Rosario. Joel Rosario is heading to New Mexico to race in the Sunland Park Derby, and he'll be aboard one of Steve Asmussen's runners there as well. Informed Patriot. We also have the Sunland Park Oaks. Both of these races will award 20 points to the winner. And so an interesting thing to watch out for. Will Joel Rosario get a win in any of these races this weekend? I think Informed Patriot has a shot here, finished third in his last 3, but kept running into some pretty tough competition and maybe a little bit lighter in the Sunland Park Derby this weekend. So that's going to be my pick for Joel Rosario to get the win, not Track Phantom, but I know, James, you're counting on that.
Yeah, exactly. I'm counting on him, Track Phantom. And you referenced it. I thought that race came up pretty good with the runner-up from the Los Al Futurity shipping in for the motto. Yeah. And even Lucky Jeremy, I like that Churchill Downs maiden win 2 back, and that was a really nice performance in the Raleigh Allison Futurity. So he's got a shot for Bill Moore. So a race to check out on Sunday, the Sunland Derby.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to check out those promos for Risen Star Day, and we'll be back next Thursday with more best bets and fades.